So I'm in Newport, Rhode Island today, touring the entire area because it's beautiful, but I wanted to stop here at this mansion. This is Doris Duke's mansion, and in 1966, October of 1966, there was a horrible accident here where a man named Eduardo Torres was run over by Miss Doris Duke, a billionaire heiress. And it was deemed an accident, but many people believe it to be not an accident. Many people actually believe it to be murder. And I'm going to show you a little bit of inside the house, and I'm going to show you where that accident happened. So in case you don't know who Doris Duke was, back in the day, her father, James Duke, started the American Tobacco Company. And when he died in 1925, he left a large amount of his fortune, in excess of $1 billion in today's money, to his only child, 12-year-old Doris Duke. Now, Doris lived in many beautiful places while growing up. However, much of her time was spent living in the massive New Jersey estate called Duke Farms, and also living in this sprawling mansion here in Rhode Island called Rough Point. Now, Doris was known for her amazing contributions to society. She was quite the philanthropist, donating large amounts of money to many causes. In 1968, she started the Newport Restoration Foundation, which saved Newport's disappearing 18th century architecture. Something like 80 buildings here were saved because of her restoration foundation. Now, unfortunately, as amazing of a person as she was, some also said that she had quite the vindictive personality, jealous rages, and that probably played a big part in that October 1966 accident with Eduardo. So a little backstory on Eduardo Torres. He was in his 40s. He was Doris Duke's close friend and confidant, her artistic advisor. He helped her with interior design. He worked with her for about 10 years, and I believe he was also an actor, and started getting a lot more jobs out on the West Coast, out in California. And so he was planning on leaving her, and he came here the night before to break the news to her. That following afternoon, Doris and Eduardo were heard having a heated argument, and it was shortly after that argument that they left the house. It's believed that Doris wanted Eduardo to drive her to a meeting. They most likely got into the car right there and drove down this way of the driveway and out towards the gates down here. So apparently Eduardo and Doris were in a rented 1966 Dodge Polara, and once he got to the gate here, he stopped and got out to unlock and open it. Eduardo had left the car running. It was in park with the e-brake on. He was directly out in front of the car, unlocking and opening the gate. She then shuffled over to the driver's side in order to drive past the gates, so Eduardo could then close the gates behind them. Now, she claimed to have accidentally hit the gas pedal instead of the brake pedal, and the car took off, pushing Eduardo into the still opening gates, drove across the road here, and ended up smashing into a tree. And a short time later, police found Eduardo dead underneath the car. Now, obviously, it's been a long time, so things look a little different here, but you can certainly line up the old photos. A very tragic situation. Well, by the power of editing, you have been magically whisked away to this cemetery in Dover, New Jersey. This is where Eduardo Torres is buried. This is where his whole family is buried. In fact, he was born in Dover, New Jersey. Yeah, so I'm just going to show you his grave really quick, and then go back to the Doris Duke estate. Now, there are still a lot of questions that remain even today. A lot of people would love to know why the chief of police up there waited 2 days before they interviewed Doris Duke about the accident. She did go to the hospital for a head injury and got something like 30 stitches, but 2 days is a long time. I believe one of her direct quotes was, "Suddenly the car leaped forward and I was on top of him." Finally, we come to the Torella family plot here. Oh, and he was a World War II veteran. Now, ultimately, the police chief, Joseph Radis, said, quote, "There was no cause to prefer charges against Miss Duke, and as far as this department is concerned, this case is closed." And that police chief would retire from the force just 5 months later. A lot of people think that was a little suspect, but it could have just been coincidence. She also started donating a lot of money even just a few days after that accident. A lot of people feel like that could have been guilt, could have been coincidence, who knows? And like I always say, there's a lot more to this case. These cases always have much more information than I can explain or list in these 8 to 12 minute videos. And I want to stress that. Every time I put out one of these true crime videos, or even really any video, there's always 1 or 2 people that don't understand that these videos are really not meant to explain every detail. That's what, 3-hour podcasts are for. And that's what Google is for. If you are interested in something that I'm talking about, all that information is online. I mostly really like to come and visit the locations and the graves and show you what the graves look like and the locations look like. But anyway, as far as this case goes, it was ultimately deemed an accident and no charges were ever filed on Miss Duke. Now, though everything was ruled an accident, Eduardo's family did take her to court, and she was found to be negligent and ended up paying out $75,000, the equivalent to about $600,000 today. And you figure that's really not a lot of money, especially for someone who had $1 billion in today's money. So at the end of all this, nobody really knows exactly what happened, except for Doris, and she took that to the grave. She died in 1993. So this will always be a mystery. But her legacy is very much alive here. She has done a lot for the Newport area and these beautiful houses and mansions here. So lots of respect to her, but also definitely rest in peace, Eduardo. I'm gonna get out of here. Hope you like this. See you in the next video.